Hey there guys, Portalmaster here, and in today's video we are going to be doing the next installment of the Portalmaster Ranks series, and today I am back to rank the Giants in my personal order. Now I had to think long and hard about this. I had to go off nostalgia, I had to go off gameplay, I had to go off overall design, and I formulated what I consider to be my personal preference of the Giants. Please don't come at me, however, I will say I am curious what you guys have to think, so while you're watching this video, be thinking about what your personal rankings are, and be sure to leave your rankings down in the comments below so that I can compare my rankings to y'all's. So let's get started with the bottom of the list, number 8. It breaks my heart to start off with this one because this guy used to be my absolute favorite, and that is Swarm. Now Swarm is such a tough case because look at the man, he looks really cool, and as a kid he was one of my favorite characters design-wise. I mean, the concept that he's a swarm of bees that can break apart and enter swarm form and then, you know, reconnect themselves into a gigantic being, so cool. But in all honesty, he's a really bland character to play as. His primary attack is just swiping around. His secondary attack shoots stingers, which is honestly very unenjoyable. And while entering swarm form is really cool visually, it does almost nothing damage-wise and is probably the least fun way to actually play the character. So even though he's such a cool character, actually using his cool design is really unfun, and that's why he ranks at the bottom of the list for me. This next one, I think I'm going to catch some heat for. We have number 7, Crusher. Again, I said I'm going to get some hate for this, especially when we get to number 1. So here's the thing. I am not a fan of Crusher, not because of his design, once again, but I will say his design is not the coolest. I mean, he's just a giant rock dude with a hammer. Kind of, you know, overdone, you know, trope, especially when you have characters like Smash Hit, you know, later on. It's not like he's the only big Earth element Skylander with a hammer or anything like that, but honestly, his abilities just aren't the coolest despite his actual damage output. Yes, swinging his hammer around is really cool, and yes, it is kind of cool to freeze your enemies with the stone gaze, but honestly, it's really not that cool, and I just don't see him as a very unique Skylander, and that, I think, is really why, to me, he lands so low. His coolest thing is probably being able to break apart and reform, much like Swarm, but it's basically an actually cooler version of what Swarm can do. So that's why I definitely had to rank him above Swarm, but I would still put him down towards the bottom, and that's why he takes the number 7 spot. 12-year-old me would have had a fit over this ranking because number 6 is Ninjini. Ninjini is another character that used to be my favorite growing up, but these days just really doesn't do it for me. So her primary attack, of course, is slashing her swords around, and then her third attack is summoning these orbs that she can, like, fling around to do her bidding. Her secondary ability kills the character for me, though. She would probably rank so much higher if she just had a better Genie in a Bottle move. Her Genie in a Bottle move basically, you know, puts her into her little bottle and she bounces around and, like, shoots little projectiles up. And it's really, in my opinion, not a very cool way to play. With her, you know, she's supposed to be like a blade master swinging her swords around, but I just don't think the Genie in the Lamp, you know, thing really works for this character. It could have been done better, and for me, that's why she ranks as low as she does. Okay, going forward, these were really tough, and I had some tough decisions I had to make, but number 5 actually goes to Thumbback. Thumbback is a great example of, like, an actual bruiser. He's got his anchor on a chain that he can swing around and do large area damage, you know, not necessarily up close. He can do it from at least a little bit of a range. But really why I like Thumbback as much as I do is his belly flop. His belly flop and sliding around, you know, using that ability is really what makes him so fun to play as. He can really get into the thick of things and swing his anchor around and take care of a ton of different enemies at the same time. He, to me, is everything that Crusher was, but cooler. A big, heavy brawler character that can really get into the thick of things. But the reason that I don't rank him any higher is just because I think that everything that Thumbback has going for him, Treerex does better, and you'll see that I do rank Treerex, you know, very high on this list. So, you know, I have to say that's why I can't rank Thumbback any higher, and overall his playstyle isn't terribly unique compared to the other Skylanders, and that's probably why he lands in the middle at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have one of the most breakable Skylanders of all time, Mr. Bouncer. Bouncer is one of the most iconic giants, probably the second most iconic giant, just because he was so present in the marketing material for Skylanders Giants. I'm pretty sure most people would agree with that statement right there. While he is one of the best ranged characters in the game, to be honest, because he combines both the quick shot abilities of Drobot with his little finger guns, pew 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 pew, you know, he mimics like the fast laser beams of Drobot, he mimics the artillery style gameplay of Zook, but honestly, he does not feel like a giant. If he felt more like a giant, he would rank higher. He's a ton of fun to play as, and as for the giants, he is definitely up there, and like I said, it's some stiff competition amongst the giants, so that's why even despite being such a great character, he only ranks on number 4. And again, most of the points I take away are the fact that he just doesn't feel like a giant. There's so many things that could have been done better. Honestly, I think Bouncer could have been a regular-sized Skylander, and something more like Drillex could have been an actual giant. I think there were a lot better characters that were candidates for giants for tech, and I really just think that it really dropped the ball, you know, with him. It could have been Sprocket, you know, in a gigantic tank. There's a lot of ways that, you know, the giant for tech could have gone, and I just don't think that Bouncer captured the feeling of giants for me, and that's why he's only number 4. Now we're moving into the top 3, and for number 3, we have my boy, Hothead. Hothead is one of the coolest Skylanders to play as, and that's why he ranks so high. Again, very stiff competition. I really debated with Hothead if he should go at number 3 or if he should go at number 2, so I will say that those two could possibly be interchangeable, but ultimately, I think that Hothead does just have to sit at number 3. So the reasons that I like Hothead so much are the mechanics that he has with the oil. Being able to not just, you know, spray fire out of his hands, but actually be able to throw down oil slicks and then ignite them is so cool. Hothead is one of those characters where both paths genuinely feel rewarding. I know most people tend to, I think, prefer his oil path, but I think that both of his paths are very fun to play as. And honestly, just being able to ignite all of the oil is so satisfying and so rewarding. And he actually, you know, feels like a versatile character as well. He has the powerful crowd controlling elements of being able to spray fire out of his hands. He has the powerful area control abilities by slicking the battlefield down with oil and being able to then ignite that later for additional damage. But he also has the large area of effect abilities of being able to rain down fire and ignite all of the oil that has surrounded him. He is such a versatile character, and playing as him, you just see the destruction that he, you know, unleashes as you play as him. He really feels like a giant, and that's why he's number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Eyebrow. The Swap Force before the Swap Force was actually cool, kind of like Fright Rider, but we're not going to talk about Fright Rider. Eyebrow is one of the most unique characters in Skylanders Giants. Being able to split himself apart and take control of Eye and take control of Brawl is really cool. Being able to basically pilot around a giant skeleton mech suit using the Eye and brawl your way through things, or being able to totally detach the Eye and fly around and just shoot laser beams out of your Eye is so very cool. And still having the giant, you know, machine eyebrow thing, you know, walloping on the ground around it. Very cool character design. In addition to that, he is a summoner. He can summon up more eyes. He feels very unique, and all 3 abilities are just, you know, very different. You have the brawler, you have the sharpshooter, and you have the summoner. It's 3 very distinct play styles that you can get with Eyebrow, and I just don't think there are that many Skylanders that really capture like a 3-toned play style quite as well as Eyebrow does. And on top of that, he really does feel like a giant, being so big, being so lumbering and huge. He is a gigantic Terrafin, I guess, with his giant punches, it feels like. But again, much more versatile than a lot of other Skylanders just because of the variety of abilities that you can get with Eyebrow, and that's why he is number 2. So then we have number 1, which is Treerex. So this is one that is probably not something I would have agreed with as a kid. Treerex is the Skylander I think of when I think about Skylanders Giants. There just is no comparing. I don't think about Thumbback. I don't think about Ninjini. No, I think about Treerex. And why wouldn't I? Treerex best captures the image of Skylanders Giants for me. He's a gigantic lumbering plant. He feels huge. Not only does he have the gigantic, you know, lumbering, brawling style gameplay, but he can also lower his arm, drop it down, and charge into battle and really get into the thick of things. And on top of that, he has the little laser cannon that he can pew pew little lasers out of and really just mow down things from a range. Although I will say that the laser beam is kind of iffy. It's a weird little, you know, thing. It doesn't really fit the rest of his playstyle, but I think it really rounds the character out and makes him feel like a very unique character. And on top of that, like I said, he really does just capture the essence of Skylanders Giants for me, and I think maybe if it wasn't for that little bit clouding my judgment, he wouldn't rank at number 1. But again, I'm not just ranking the Skylanders on gameplay, I am ranking them on design, I'm ranking them on the way that they feel, you know, like how to look at, like the nostalgia. I'm ranking them in all aspects, and that's why he comes in at number 1. If it was just on gameplay, he probably wouldn't be number 1. That would probably just go to Hothead. But, you know, overall, he's got to be number 1, and so there you have it. So let's again summarize my Skylander rankings. We have, coming in at number 8, we have Swarm. Number 7, we have Crusher. Number 6, we have Ninjini. Number 5, we have Thumbback. Number 4, we have Bouncer. Number 3, we have Hothead. Number 2, we've got Eyebrow. And number 1, we have T-Rex. So there is my official ranking. There is my opinion of the rankings. Do bear that in mind. This is not official by any means, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Do y'all hate T-Rex? Do you think I should have ranked him way lower? Did I do Swarm and Crusher dirty? Should I have ranked them much higher? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I really want to know what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Portalmaster. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to check me out on social media. Down in the description, I've got my Twitter and my Instagram linked, and if you're feeling chatty, feel free to hop in the Discord where we talk all things Skylanders, as well as we talk about other stuff like other video games, content creation, all kinds of fun stuff as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching. I just wanted to take some time to thank my generous patrons on Patreon, including APYT Skylanders, Haley, Cinderclash, Adrian, OctoBoom, True Blue Dogemon, and HypnoticOcelot.